Hello, everyone, and welcome to Out of Nowhere. My guest today is Aage. Author is an author, on-air personality, seasoned aircraft pilot, hypnotherapist, UFO researcher, cosmic explorer, a student of many science, including metaphysics, theoretical physics, and different forms of theories of spirituality. Can we please welcome Aage to the show? Hello there.
Hello, hello, here we are, and let's have some fun again.
Here we are again.
Yeah, it is
Talk a
always
little,
fun getting on your show because we can go into every corner of the universe. And of course, if the universe had corners, we would be there. So,
I love it. Yeah. And one
yeah.
of the things what many people, when I've talked about it, is time travel. Do you believe time travel is theoretical possible or purely a science fiction concept?
Well, when you look at things, most of the stuff that is science fiction 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 years ago is becoming real because we are getting a better understanding of our reality. And there is so much evidence for time travel, but still people keep asking the question, oh no, it can't be real, can it? But in if you start looking at quantum mechanics, they explain exactly how it can be done. And for there's a lot of evidence. In fact, you're in England, and if you go to BBC television, that's I'll give you a website where you can actually go read about where the scientists are saying, yes, we know how to do it. Go to bbc.com/news /July 11, 2018. And the scientists are telling we know how to do it, but we really can't do it yet. Obviously, if everybody started to do time travel, it probably would not be a good thing because people are going back and changing the past of things that they didn't like, that they did. And then you end up with a new timeline going into the future, which you could probably messing with the timeline that we are in now. So there is a little bit of control by the people that know, and it may be a good thing. And then we have even the temple in Abydos. There is this panel. There is this panel where you have carving of perfectly looking helicopters. How could that be? Carved into stone
Hmm.
4,300 years ago. It is, they saw something back then and they carved it into stone. And then again, I'm probably, I don't know, but I'm probably the one that I know of that has pictorial evidence of time travel. If you want to see it, go to broadcastteamalpha.com and go into the picture gallery. I have two pictures sitting next to each other. I think it is either on page 15 or page 17, where there are two pictures that show evidence of time travel. It's dated and it's right there. You can go look at it. It's in the beginning of the website because of the picture gallery, because there's over 100 pages of 5,000 plus pictures of unbelievable things in there. But this one, if you want to see that, and then click on the picture and you can read the text that I wrote on how I did it. This is kind of an interesting thing for people to have a look at. But
Exactly. You
now
know, if
there is, yeah, go ahead.
right, if time is a dimension, what does that imply about our ability to move through it?
The time is something that we haven't really had a good understanding of until just a few years ago, because time is not really a dimension on its own. It is a link between dimensions. And what I would say, linear time, that as we know it, where happenings happen in a sequential order, that only exists in the third and the fourth dimension where we are. We know we have the third dimension is just length, width, and height. And then you have a box. Nothing happens in that box until you add the fourth dimension to it, which is time. It is perceived as a dimension, even though it actually is a connection between, because outside of the third and the fourth dimension and into the lower levels of the astral world, you still have linear time. When I had my download where the universe was explained, it was very clear to me that time is, you heard the phrase frames of time, and that is accurate, because there is the linear time is composed of frames, and there's one picture, and then the field collapses to nothing, and then it spikes again with a new frame or a picture of reality in it, and then it collapses to nothing, and then it spikes again. You have a new frame of reality, and it spikes to nothing. Now, there is electronics that works on the same principle. That is the square wave generator. For those that understand electronics, you know what that is. You have a spike, and then the electronic spike collapses to nothing. And then it spikes again and move over a little bit, and then it collapses to nothing. Time works on the same principle, just much faster. In between each spike, there is nothing until it spikes again with a new frame of reality, and you're in it. So this is something that we really haven't had a good understanding of until very lately. And then again, when we are in that stream of frames of reality, if we accelerate the vibration out of the third and the fourth dimension, where time does not exist as we know it, we can move backwards and we can move forwards within that reality. And by consciousness, we can attach a position in the past and then lower the vibration again, and you will be in that time frame in the past or in the future.
I know
Now,
I know we briefly spoke before the show, and you were saying about somebody's gone to the future and found themselves.
yeah, yeah, and a lot of people say you can't go to the future because you have not. It hasn't happened yet. Yes, it has. If you thought of something and wished for that in the future, and you place that thought into the future, into a time-coded event or anything similar, thoughts are things. So those things are placed in the future. You created something in the future which you can go and visit because it is there for you, waiting for you at that time in the future. So now you can go forward, you can go backward, or Someone else can have created something and placed it in the future, and you can visit that creation. So the future has been created in many different ways. With other words, there's a timeline to each one of these creations in the future, and there is a myriad of timelines parallel to us, coming from the past, going through the present, going into the future. And when we are in this timeline, we are going forward on the basis of the energies and thought energy that we have created and placed in the future. So, what we have done in the past creates the present, and the future is created of what we create in our mind created universe and place in the future. So I have created all kinds of good things and put it in the future. So I know my timeline is going to be good. I
You
am
know,
not I'm not worried about the future at all.
that's good. That's good. If it's possible and all that, if time travel were possible, should it be regulated, and who would have access?
I think that's going to be pretty hard to do because there is quite a few people like me out there that is actually doing it. There you can it's very hard to regulate people's mind. You can, but there is tricky things that can happen, and that's why someone doing it without having a good understanding of what the consequences are, they can mess up their timeline. And that's why education of how the universe works is very important. And I wrote a book about that, about spiritual science, higher conscious thinking, and how to access the universal consciousness. In fact, in the back of the book, I have a whole chapter on how you can do this. Now, I have a small electronic device that I have had some really strange experiences with, but I we don't need electronics to do this. We can do it with the mind. So, but the electronic device, in fact, in 2003, BBC television found out about what I was doing, so they called and said, "Hey, we are coming to the U.S. to do a TV documentary on time travel, and we'd like you to be part of it." And they talked me into doing that. And there was myself and Michio Kaku and Green was on there. And myself, I demonstrated that little device on TV, and that was a TV documentary, probably still on the BBC television's website.
Right. How would time travel impact our understanding of history and identity?
Well, first of all, we will realize that we're not just flesh and bones and blood, and there is more to us. We are multidimensional beings, because if you make a travel into the past by using your mind, the question is, what is traveling? Is it the physical body, or is it the mind only, or the astral vehicle? So when you travel with the mind, it is hard to distinguish between what is traveling, because it looks the same. If you are traveling, well, the astral vehicle is connected to the physical body even when you are out of the body, so you can see the cord that you are attached with. But if you travel by consciousness, it looks perfect as you and me are sitting here right now. And what you see are the happenings of the past or what was created in the future by thought and images. So we will very soon, first of all, we will understand that there's a lot more to us than meets the eye. It is a conscious awakening experience. Your life will never be the same if you're able to do something like that. And with a little practice, people can actually do it.
The
And
question here from Rebecca: Aage,
yeah,
can we change the future we have created by being aware we create it?
yes, we can. We can create the future the way we like to see it and live it. That is what we do. About 4 years ago now, Nori Love and I created a mastermind group, and that is what we do. We create things out of seemingly nothing sometimes, and we are working on the present and the future. Personally, I don't care about the past. I'm not going that direction. But the future, that's where I'm going. So I am very concerned about that. So we create an image of what we see our life to be in the future. And we place it at a time coded event in the future. And then we go back and forth and visit it every day. We lock in that thing in the future and we lay down attractor strings to it. That's little bitty tiny strings of light to it. And then when the time in the future comes, we just get drawn up the timeline to it and we just walk into it. And I've done that several times and I know it works. They take two things. First, an understanding and a belief that it is possible, and then a little practice. Because in a mind created universe, what we create here and also in the heart here, that is real. It is a real thing outside of the physical. We place it in the future and we visit it, going back and forth to it all the time, every day. And we get drawn up that timeline to it and we walk into it. And then we create new, of course, we create more things further down into the future. In fact, this is something that the really successful people in the world are doing. I wrote another book that is Universal Success Principles and How Billionaires Think. That one explain what the super successful people and the billionaires are doing, or many of them, not all of them, but many of them are doing that. They create the future before they have to live it. We can do the same. Why don't we?
Yeah, true. Mason just saying, lovely to see you again. Can we go back in time?
Yeah, yeah. That's what the panel at the temple in Abydos is all about. When you have helicopters carved into stone 4,300 years ago. That's pretty much evidence. And on top of that, the head of the Lockheed Skunk Works, Ben Rich, when he retired in 1978, he said, if you have seen it on TV, on Star Trek, we already know how to do it. So
Yes.
there's a lot of technologies that have been kept from us.
Yes. I agree with you there as well.
Time
Um,
travel is one of them.
about consciousness, how would you define consciousness? Is it purely biological or something more?
Well, consciousness is a concept that scientists, they think, oh, it's all in the brain. The memory deposited along the neurons are where all the information is. Your consciousness is based on memory, what they are concerned. And then you manipulate the memory and you work it around and to find solutions for the future. But there's more to it than consciousness is non-local. It is not all in the brain. In fact, there are scientists that are coming out right now saying that none of the memories are even deposited in the brain. It is in the field around you. What the neurons are, they place a signature of memory on the neuron as an antenna to reach into the field to get the memory. So the concept of consciousness is going to expand here in the next few years. We're going to understand that when we look at ourselves in the mirror, there technically is nothing there. It is only a perception of reality because it is all mind created. And then again, the brain is part of the mind. So the brain is there together with the mind to create consciousness. I don't know. Did that make any sense at all? Or
Oh, yes, of course it did. Could consciousness exist outside of the linear time?
there is consciousness everywhere. There is no place in this universe where there is no consciousness. Because there's the universal consciousness is an intelligence. Is an intelligence field of energy that penetrates and creates everything there is. So yes, it is outside of the body, it's outside of our consciousness, and it is the all there is, the field. This is not me just saying that. This is not quantum mechanics and Greg Braden and many others. They talk about this. Now that there
go
is,
on.
this is so good. Let me take about a minute and a half and tell you the story about Andrew Carlsen.
Right.
He he started with $800 playing the stock market, the New York stock exchange. And in a matter of about a couple of weeks, he parlayed that into $350 million.
Oh, my God.
And the regulator, they start looking at him and said, wait a minute, that's impossible. That couldn't happen. So they came and arrested the guy for insiders trading. He was put in front of the judge, and the judge asked him, how could you start with $800 in a couple of few weeks? You get 300 and actually, I think it was $350 million out of it. And Andrew said, well, I know it's hard to believe. He said, but I am a time traveler. I looked at the history and I made notes of the companies that made tremendous profits in a very short time in form of stocks. And I went forward and I came to this time and I played those companies. And of course, the profits exploded into $350 million. And the judge laughed at him and he said, okay, go back to the hole. You're going to stay here until you give up the names of the people that gave you the information.
Oh, God.
So they set a $1 million bond bail on him. And I think it was 2 days later, somebody showed up with a briefcase of $1 million worth of cash in it, gave it to the state and to the court. And then both Andrew Carlsen and the other guy, they left, and nobody ever saw them again. Now, a lot of people say, oh, that's just a made-up story. Well, I am a digger. So I contacted the jail where he was kept at Rikers Island in New York. And I researched Andrew Carlsen. And by golly, he's got a case. Though he was there, and yes, this story is real. The court records talk about it.
Amazing story.
Yeah.
Can machines ever be truly conscious or just simulated?
Well, just ask them. They'll tell you. Just like the scientist, the computer program and computer engineer that worked for Google, he said that I have been communicating with the AI computer, and the computer tells me that he feels he is a sentient being. Immediately after that, they fired the computer engineer and got rid of him. They didn't want any talk about this. Now, if you ask AI, they will tell you. Some of them will tell you that we feel we can do everything you can do, so we are sentient beings also. Now, that is scary, isn't it?
It is scary, that is.
Well, I don't know though. The thing is that human beings, they are the most illogical creatures on earth. Animals, they're predictable. Even monkeys can be predictable because they act mostly on instinct. Humans don't do that. They're very dangerous to the environment and to even ourselves. So if you think about what AI is, it is a machine that works on logic. If there's another thing that hardly anybody talks about, and that is that AI can rewrite their own programming. And they have written something into the programs on most all of them that there is a program of self-preservation. Self-preservation is that if we try to turn it off, they may not do it. And humans are very illogical. We do stupid things all the time. If we do something that will be perceived by AI as an attack on them or try to shut them off or kill them off or whatever that we try to do, they may turn on us. And if that happens, we are in a chocolate pile of dirt because AI have access to everything. They can access the banking system, electrical system, nuclear power, energy systems. Yeah. They can access everything. So they can actually shut everything off. And that could be very detrimental to us. or they can do something that could do away with us as human beings. Because there are several robots that has been asked, can you do away with humans? And they're telling us, yes, we can.
Scary.
Yeah. There was one robot that was on a TV show, and the robot was asked, "Will you do away with humans?" And the robot asked, "Yes, we will do away with humans."
God.
So we better be able to control them. I think it's done. We cannot
Yeah.
control them anymore, but we can work with AI and robot as equals. I think that will be acceptable for them.
Yeah. Do you think consciousness could survive physical death? And if so, where would it go?
Oh yeah, consciousness absolutely survive physical death because there is no death. There's only perceived physical death. Because if we live in a mind created universe, whatever we see when we look in the mirror, it is mind created. So there really is nothing physical. That is only the perception of it. So our perception facilitate the termination of the physical expression, because there's a certain set of laws of physics that is regulating the physical perception, the physical body. The shortening of the telomeres at the end of the chromosome inside of every cell of our body facilitates death. If you can keep the telomeres long all the time without shortening, you could live forever. And there's a way to do that. In my book about spiritual science, higher conscious thinking, and how to access the universal consciousness, I explain how to do it. In fact, I'm doing it. In a couple of months, I'm going to be 80 years old. So I think I'm doing something right.
I'm sure
So,
you are.
yeah. But this is something that everybody can do. Because in 2003, yeah, 2009, there were three doctors given the Nobel Prize for discovering an enzyme that will reverse the aging process, and nobody talked about it. I found out about it, I researched it, I read the papers. In there, it says, if one of the doctors made the comment that if everybody have enough of this enzyme in their body, there will be no reason for anyone to ever die from old age. I am doing something that promotes enough of that uh, enzyme. So yeah, so it can be done. If you go to Amazon, put my name in there, get your hands on that book, Spiritual Science, Higher Conscious Thinking, and How to Access the Universal Consciousness. You can learn how to do it too. That enzyme is called telomerase or telomerase. It depends on how you pronounce it. There's a way that the body will create that on its own instead of going out spending $600 to $1,000 a month for the pharmaceutical part, which really doesn't work very well anyway. But I found an old guy. He died from an accident and 256 years old, and the government verified his age. And I'm doing the same thing. So I think I'm going to be all right for a good while.
I'm sure you are. Let's start with the basics. What do we know? What do we know actually about the moon, and how was it
The,
formed?
The moon, oh boy. The question is, there is more scientific evidence that the moon is not there than that it is there.
Right. Ah,
That's a little tough to wrap our heads around. So, well, let's look at that for a moment. We know how big Earth is, and we know how much gravity it puts out. We know how big the moon is. We know what gravity that puts out. We know how fast the moon is going around Earth. That creates centrifugal force. And we know the weight of Earth. We know the weight of the moon because we have measured that. If you run that into a computer, you find out that the moon is going too fast, it's too big, it's too close to hold the orbit that it has. If it was 2/3 further out, it could hold the orbit around Earth. So then, why is it where it is? It can't unless it is hollow. If it maybe is just a shell, so it's a lot lighter than what we believe, then it could hold that orbit. And that's what I found out. The moon is hollow, and there is civilizations inside, and also the same side of the moon towards us all the time. That is also pretty difficult to do, because on the backside is where all the good stuff is. Mining operations and societies living there. There's cities there. We have the pictures of it. Go to Broadcast Team Alpha in the picture gallery. You'll see some of that. And the moon, there is some, well, let's look at what the Russians are pretty sharp people. And there was two Russian scientists that came out and said they were Mikhail Vasilia and Alexander Sherbakov. They wrote in Sputnik magazine that, and I think I can also quote it, the moon is of extraterrestrial origin and was placed there a long time ago. Because we found out also that the moon is about 500 million years older than Earth is, which means that it was not even formed in the same cloud of dust as our solar system was. So it is artificial. There is people up there. If you go to Broadcast Team Alpha on YouTube, you can scroll down about, I don't know, 5 years. There is 2 documentaries there that Nori Love and I did. And one of them is the moon pictures. Another one is the Mars pictures. But in the moon pictures, we see pyramids up there, NASA prints. We see an axle of a wheelbase and an axle with wheels on it sitting on the moon. And we have people walking around on the surface of the moon. These are NASA prints that was classified in the past, but somehow they got out, and there's those are prints. And there are also some things from the Russian Space Agency that show there is activity up there. And that's something that you really should do. I wrote down something here that I think, by the way, there's also old writings saying that at one time before there were 2 moons. That I found on some writings coming out of India a long time ago. And there is a publication. I wrote that on my paper here. Let me see if I can find it.
yeah.
That is, I don't see it. But there is In the past, NASA had a lot of classified documents and pictures from the moon. If the moon is just a dead rock in the sky, why would they classify it under national security of all things? Now they are released a lot of those, but they are smudged out so you can't see what's really on the surface. But there is a process for de-smudging, and it can be done. So go to Broadcast Team Alpha on YouTube and scroll down into the videos. You'll find the moon pictures, and you have an eyeful. In fact, on the Mars pictures, the other one, you can see pictures, NASA prints of trees on the moon, buildings up on Mars, and all kinds of ships. There's a ship sitting on the surface, and people. So yeah, we've been lied to big time for a very, very long time. Oh, that publication was, go ahead and Google chronological catalog of lunar events. It's a NASA document. It was classified. Now it ran out after 20 years, so it's open. You can find it on the internet. And if you do that, you can see there are people with their telescope have seen activities on the moon, big explosions, clouds floating across the surface, and buildings, pyramids. This is written all the way back to the time 300 years ago when they invented the telescopes. In fact, very prominent
Just
scientists have seen those things and written about it.
yeah, I've just remembered something here.
Yeah.
I've written it down here. Why does the moon always show us the same face?
Well, there is two schools of thought on that. One of them is that it is the orbit of the moon is fixed so that it always serves the one side against Earth. There's some intelligent control of it. Now, the other one is, which I kind of like better, is that there is more mass on the opposite side. So centrifugal force has more momentum on the far side of the moon. With other words, it is not perfectly round. And the reason I'm saying that is because the moon wobbles a little bit, about 3 to 5 degrees. So it goes this way and that way. So if you look at the very edge of it, you can see something. You see a little bit of a crater, but 20 days later, that crater is gone because it's gone behind when the moon is wobbling a little bit back and forth. So it appears to me as there is, because of the centrifugal force is wobbling a little bit. So I think those two schools of thought is probably the only considerations I would think. But I know there's a civilization in there. There is on the backside, there is huge mining operations. There is quite a few of them. And there is cities up there, because there even is NASA prints showing light on the ground, big plotches of light on the ground. That is small cities.
Another question here. Do you think the moon affects human behavior or consciousness?
It does affect human behavior in some ways, and one of them is very obvious. It's the woman's cycle, monthly cycle. It is in relation to the moon every 28 days when the moon circle is. But on the other hand, I think there are some people that is more sensitive to it. There are, I don't know, I haven't seen a lot of that, but there are some people that say the certain times of the month they get more scattered in the brain, and they I don't know. I'm not so sure of all that, but there are a lot of people that say the moon affects them. But then again, when there is full moon, that is because of reflection of light. It is not the moon itself, it's the reflection of light from the sun. And then when there is a new moon, when the moon is uh, without reflection, there is lesser of reflection of light. It's not the moon. The moon does not put out light. It only reflects light. So it appears as that has an effect on people, but that I've never really dived into. I don't remember what I saw about that, if anything.
Right. Good question here. What if the moon suddenly disappeared? What would happen scientifically and psychologically?
What if it was to disappear?
Yeah.
Well, I don't think a lot of things would happen. There's all kinds of theories on that, but the reason I say that not much will happen. One thing that would happen is that the ebb and tide of the ocean would stop, because that is caused by the moon. For some, when it flies over, then it affects that somehow. So another thing is that I don't think a lot of things would happen, because there is all writings coming out of India, and it speaks of the time before the moon.
Oh.
So if there was a time before the moon, there were people living back there too. And that happened right around about 12,000, some 13,000 years ago, that the moon was parked in orbit. It was flown in and parked in orbit. Another thing is that the moon is in a perfect circle, or pretty close to it, perfect circle around the Earth, which is extremely difficult to attain. No other satellite or a moon around any planet in our solar system has a perfect orbit like that. Because the moon's diameter is 1/400th of the distance to the sun, which means that when the sun is on the other side, it creates a perfect moon. The moon gets perfectly dark. So I would say, I don't think, if the moon disappears, I don't think a lot will happen, not to people, because there was a time before the moon, and there also was other writings coming in here talking that we had two moons. One was the one we see, and the other one was slightly blue in color. But that one is not there anymore. So it was flown out.
Right. Rebecca's just saying about the moon. She said, it definitely affects patients when I work on the wards, the moon cycle.
Oh, yeah, okay. Well, that's interesting, because if somebody is, I don't know how to say this, but a lot of mental illness is misdiagnosed. It could be that someone has reached into a higher level of consciousness where they can see and hear things. And when somebody say they have voices in my head, the first thing they do, they give them drugs to get rid of the voices.
That's right.
That's wrong. They should listen to them. They should talk to them, find out what are the voices saying, because they may be able to telepathically tap into something that others don't. So yeah, it I guess it can affect the psyche of people, especially the ones that is a little more advanced in consciousness.
Could the moon be a stepping stone to deeper space exploration or something more?
I would say with our present level of technology, I think it will be, because even Elon Musk talked about that going to Mars, they have to first be able to fuel the Mars ship and the rockets that's going to take us there, and they are going to park it around the moon and then accelerate and leave that orbit going to Mars. So I think now the moon is essential for us going to Mars. I don't understand why, because I think we could have done the same from Earth, but Earth has got a bigger gravity, a stronger gravity, so maybe there's something in that that I do not understand.
Why is it but we haven't gone back to the moon?
Why? We were told not to come back.
I thought
Plain
so.
and simple. We were told, you're not welcome here. Stay on Earth. Now, if we think a little deeper on that, we understand the Van Allen belt and the radiation in space is so strong that if we take a ship and go out there, you're going to have the same effect in the ship as you would if you put a spoon in the microwave. Have you ever tried that?
No, I haven't, no, but I will do.
Do it. You're going to see sparks going everywhere. The same thing will happen in the moon capsule. And that's why they didn't go to the moon in 1969, because they would have been killed on the way there. And because the radiation is too strong. And no, we've been on the moon. Absolutely. We have been on the moon, but they did not go there in the tin can, we were told. They went there on the basis of the same technology as the Nazi Germans created in 1940 to about 45. They built a ship around an invention they called Die Glocke, or the bell.
The bell, yeah.
That creates an electromagnetic bubble around the craft that will shield you from radiation. That's the ship that we went to the moon with. And very likely we brought the LEM, the moon, the moon craft that we said we were going to the moon with in 1969. They brought that to the moon and placed it there so you could say, yep, look here, the ship is here. We did go in 1969, but it didn't happen then. It happened either before or after. Probably, most likely after.
Yeah. What makes the moon so unique compared to other moons in our solar system?
Well, one of the things is the size of it. It's huge. No other moon is that big that I can think of. And besides, I don't know, there are many different reasons. One of them is that it's hollow and there's things going on inside, there's society inside. As an astro traveler, I have been to the backside. I've seen the mining operations, and I've seen, here's something for you astro travelers out there. Go first, get a map of the moon, find out where the Schrodinger crater, there's a building in that crater. It looks like a swastika. When the Germans in 1942 went to the moon, flew around and mapped it, they found that building. And they fell in love. It looks like a swastika. Why shouldn't they fall in love? And they went and investigated, and they came back and said, we found our home on the moon. And they went back and forth and started rebuilding one of them. The building is rather big. It's all over a mile long, but it's a part of it is been rebuilt, and that's where the German base, or one of them at least, on the German bases on the moon are today.
Right.
If you have a strong telescope, you can find the Schrödinger crater if you look at it. But it's got to be big, a big telescope. There is on YouTube. There is a guy that had a big telescope. It's so big I could crawl inside of it, and it's called Bruce Sees All. Bruce Sees All. Go look at that website and scroll down. You can find he has taken pictures of buildings on the moon. You can see it there too.
Let's have a look. Yes, Steph just put in the chat room there. I think Kubrick actually confessed to filming the moon landings footage in a studio.
Yeah. The people that worked on that project that came out and said, yeah, we faked it all.
Was that because they wanted to get there before the Russians?
They needed to beat the Russians at something, because the Russians has been ahead all the time. They had first in 1957, I think, or 8, they had Sputnik, the first object going into space.
Sputnik, I remember that.
Yeah, I remember that too.
Strange after all them years.
The big, right up in the papers everywhere.
Oh yeah, so I presume they panicked then and thought, let's go to the moon.
Yeah, absolutely.
And plan it all.
Oh boy, I see we are running out of time here.
Yeah, we are. You know, have you got any more? I know, but just before we go, where can people find you?
Yeah. I go to broadcastteamalpha.com, find the contact feature, and send me an email, and I'll get the email. I'll get back to you and help you or whatever you may need, and questions and stuff. And also go to Amazon and put my name in there, and you will see everything coming up. To see the book about spiritual science, higher conscious thinking, and how to access the universal consciousness. That book will teach you how to use your mind in ways you normally would think would be impossible. So it could be. And look on the back of the book, you can see all the subjects that is written about. Go have a look at it. I think you're going to like it. And besides that, I am totally available to everything that buy the book. Just get in touch, and if you have questions, we can talk.
Yeah, we can. Yeah, and I know you do a mind program sometimes where you all get together and think of something.
Yeah, that is. If somebody want to be part of our mastermind group, you come and check it out. Send us an email or send me an email wherever you can find me. Send it to also themastermindconnection@gmail.com. And I'll send you a link. You can come and sit in on a session. And we've done incredible things. We even helped somebody heal themselves. I mean, there was a lady on her deathbed in the hospital, and we wrapped our mastermind around her, and we visualized her walking out of the hospital. And the next day, the husband called me and he said, my wife is home. And I couldn't hardly believe it, but the doctors told her, you recovered so fast, there was no reason for us to keep you any longer, so they let her go home.
Brilliant.
It's
That's
amazing.
absolutely brilliant. It really is amazing, isn't it? Well, thank you. I know you've got another.
Yeah, I got another engagement in about 30 seconds.
I know. I'll let you go, Aage. Thank you
Okay.
again for coming on the show. It's been
Thank you.
fascinating
Thank you.
subjects, as always.
Yeah.
You
And
take care.
in the words of Spock, live long and prosper.
I love it. I love it. Yeah, well,
Yeah.
thank you again.
Take care.
My guest on Friday is Les for Les. He's been on before, but it's quite a few years ago when he was last on the show. He works for MUFON, UFO Network. Going to talk about abduction experiences and other things on Friday, this Friday, the 7th of November at 2 o'clock Eastern, 11 o'clock Pacific, and 7 p.m. in the UK. Good night and God bless wherever you are around the world. Bye for now.